Welcome back, folks. My name's Shane. So today I'm going to share with you 5 guitars I found at the Melbourne Guitar Show that really stood out. So for those who don't know what the Melbourne Guitar Show is, it's kind of like Australia's mini version of a NAMM. It's nowhere near as big, but it's still plenty loud. My God, it was so loud. Anyone who actually went to the Melbourne Guitar Show, post in the comments to see whether or not I'm not the only one who thought the event was just brutally loud. But anyway, that aside, there were some really standout guitars amongst all the same stuff that I saw the year before, and these are the 5 that I'm going to share with you. Stuff that you might not be able to find in your part of the world, or you might not even know about if you live in Australia. Some of this stuff was my first time seeing it as well, so I thought I'd share it with you guys. So let's get into it. So the first guitar brand I have to mention, and I saw them the prior year as well, and I thought, man, these are beautiful, are the Sylia guitars. These are absolutely stunning premium instruments made in New South Wales here in Australia, which is the state above where I live in Victoria. One of the things that Sylia does is let the guitars speak for themselves, and I have to say, just seeing some of them on display really made me go, wow, these are some of the nicest guitars I've ever seen, no doubt about it. And yes, for you Southpaws out there as well like me, he does make lefties as well. So these are just beautiful instruments. They have a really three-dimensional looking top, nice humbuckers. The finish is up there with some of the top-end PRS, just as a comparison. There's no question about it, looking at the Sylia guitars on screen, that they definitely take some inspiration from other brands and shapes out there. In today's day and age, that's a little bit tough not to do. But the thing is, they definitely look unique in terms of their headstock, and some of the finishes are second to none. They really look spectacular. Sylia coming in at number 1. The second guitar manufacturer on this list was one I've never seen up until the Melbourne Guitar Show this year, so I'm glad I came across them. They're called ET Guitars, or ET Guitars. I'm not exactly 100% certain how to say that, but I have to tell you, these definitely stood out in amongst all of the other instruments in that room, no doubt about it. So these are also made in New South Wales as well, here in Australia. So it's another brand that was local to Australia. It's great to see some other local manufacturers getting in on the guitar game and coming out with stuff that not only looks visually awesome, but also sounds great. So ET Guitars offers custom build guitars as well as off-the-shelf guitars, and some of the unique things about their instruments is they also have the fan frets. So for those who don't know what that is, essentially it means the frets aren't straight across the fretboard like they would be on 99.5% of the guitars out there. I made up that statistic, but basically they're sort of fanned out, so as you move further up the guitar, further down, it's supposed to make it more ergonomic. Now, as a lefty, I've never actually played one of these, but just picking them up and having a look at them, they're really beautiful instruments. So ET Guitars definitely makes this list for not only being unique, but also something that I've never seen or heard of up until this event. So I hope you like number 2. This next guitar brand on the list is one I've seen in prior years, but I don't hear anyone else in the world really talking about them. But maybe they should. They're some of the most expensive and beautiful looking acoustic and electric guitars I've ever seen in my life. They're from a brand called Ruben Guitars, which is actually located here in Victoria, just out of Melbourne in Ferntree Gully, which actually isn't too far from where I live. So I might have to go down there and see if I can film a video at some point and maybe do like a build process or something. Some of them are absolutely stunning. It's probably no secret to anyone who's been to the Melbourne Guitar Show that Ruben Guitars have one of the best stalls every single year, and it was the case again this year. Some of the best wood and finish I've ever seen on an acoustic guitar is definitely the Ruben instruments. They're absolutely beautiful, and one of the standout things at the Melbourne Guitar Show was a $74,000 acoustic guitar called the Celt. This guitar looked absolutely beautiful, and it had a sword on the actual fretboard. People were just coming by and just shaking their head and drooling. It was really cool. Some of these guitars are just insanely expensive, but you are buying a premium instrument. I actually asked one of the Ruben staff whether or not they sold too many $16,000 guitars, because there's a few of them on display as well, and they said, yeah, we sell quite a few of them. So stunning instruments. If you're in the market for an electric guitar, which are also extremely nice to look at as well, or an acoustic, and you've got plenty of money to splurge, check out Ruben Guitars. Odds are a lot of people around the world might not have heard of them. Let me know in the comments if you've heard of them as well. Up next, we have maybe the most unique and interesting looking guitar on this list, and I put interesting in quotations because I know it won't be everybody's cup of tea, but these guys definitely stood out in amongst all of the other traditional type of guitars that were at the show. This is a brand called DK Alloy Guitars, and these are actually made of alloy, which is a metal, and they're extremely light, and they totally rocked. There was a guy at the booth basically demonstrating them, and they sounded like any great electric guitar, except they were super light, coming in at about 2 to 2.5 kilograms, which is roughly or under 5 pounds. So nice and light in terms of their weight, and just very, very different. And being that they're made out of metal, they won't suffer the same inherent issues when it comes to temperature extremes. You know, for the poor people who live in Canada, when it gets to 40 below and 40 above, things can go weird on the guitar. So yeah, these guitars won't suffer any of those kind of problems. They do look very different, but in terms of tone, they sounded like any other great electric guitar. So DK Alloy Guitars definitely made the list for its uniqueness and just how blown away I was by the actual tone standing there at the booth. So they get the big thumbs up. The final guitar brand that really stood out, and it's another brand I saw the year before, and they just looked really, really cool. I saw them again this year, and I went, yeah, I have to add them to the list because they just look so unique and different. And a lot of people, I'm tipping, might not have heard of these guys either. This is the Strandberg brand. It's a guitar manufacturer that has only really come up on the radar for me the last couple of years. They make some really unique looking 6-string, 7-string, and 8-string electric guitars, as well as basses as well, 4- and 5-string basses. One of the first things you'll notice about the Strandberg brand is the fact that none of the guitars have headstocks. So they really look quite small up there on the wall. And also you'll notice that they've got a very unique body shape as well, which kind of has a broad appeal. Not only will metal guys like them, but I could envision a lot of fusion players also using them, as well as they've also got some that take a lot of inspiration from sort of like the 52 era Fender guitars in terms of their design, as some of them do have that kind of Fender Telecaster vibe about them, but with their own unique look. So it appeals to boring guys like myself who might not want to go for anything too elaborate. I've only found Strandberg guitars in the last couple of years at the Melbourne Guitar Show, and it's not a brand I see anywhere in shops here in Melbourne on the most part, but they're actually out of Sweden, which is a really beautiful part of the world, and I don't actually recall seeing them in any shops in Sweden when I was there last year either. I didn't go to all of the shops, obviously, but they're a brand that I just love to see sort of a little bit more in stores, at least where I live, because I think they're really nice guitars. In terms of price, they're around 3,395 Australian dollars. So I'm tipping somewhere in the US. You could probably check their website. It'll be less than that in other parts of the world as well. But I'll leave links to all these guitar brands in the description. You can go check them out. I'm not being paid to promote them or anything like that. It's just 5 guitar brands that I really like the look of that I thought I'd share with you because I've never heard of most of these before. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this list. My name's Shane. If you did enjoy, please give it a thumbs up. I appreciate that. If you already knew about these guitars or some of them, please let me know in the comments as well. Like I said, I don't go to a lot of product shows. It's not how I gear my channel or anything like that. But when I saw these, I went, yeah, I have to share some of these with my viewers because I know people will dig it, or they won't. But at least it's something new and not just the same old stuff that you see everywhere else. So I hope you enjoy this. My name's Shane. I'll catch you on the next video. See ya.
Thanks for watching an In the Blues video. If you got value out of it, please consider leaving a like. Don't forget to subscribe and also click the bell for future videos.